Thank you for joining me, everyone. It's 2 days after the midterm elections, and liberal Democrats are reacting in a way that I would contend, and I'm generalizing here, of course, can only be seen as deranged and as crazy. Their ugliness and hatred and visceral revulsion at the election of President Donald J. Trump is reaching almost a frenzied level now. It's almost like, the French Revolution. They're going to start to do guillotines in the street, or like, a scene from the Frankenstein novel when you have people with torches, showing up to burn Frankenstein at the stake. It's a craze, really. And I'm listening to MSNBC. I'm listening to Stephanie Miller at Progressive and some other talk shows. Oh, they're absolutely like drooling over the thought that the Mueller investigation is going to lead to impeachment, and they're saying, "Oh, we're going to see, indictments of Don Jr. and Jared Kushner, and they're all so just animated and excited." Well, it's almost like in the Middle Ages, having people like taken out. They want to take them out of the White House and drag them down through the street, and whip them, and then have them burned at the stake, kind of like Joan of Arc. And what do they hate about President Trump so much that it would be so personal and so beyond reason? I mean, they're talking about, the Trump is Hitler and all that kind of stuff. I mean, here he is. He's a businessman who has put his business aside to do his public duty as president of the United States, right? He is presiding over a huge turnaround in the economy and a reestablishment of America's position in the world in a way that's unprecedented. Certainly in my lifetime. I don't think there's been a president like this actually since John F. Kennedy, frankly. Maybe Reagan. And, it's absolutely driving them nuts. It's personal too. They can't really point to anything specific, Do they're upset over the fact that I heard one commentator, that they're going to they're sending the army to the border to shoot people. That's a bunch of bull crap. The army is there to help the Army Corps of Engineers strengthen the border. Now that gets into an issue which is underlying their hatred for Trump. He supports national sovereignty. He supports protecting the nation state and helping people who are here, American citizens, get jobs and become self-sufficient. And he's done this with his leadership to a degree that's unprecedented, which drives them further crazy. They want to take credit for it. Get Obama go out. I think Obama suppressed the vote for the left. I mean, if he hadn't been going out, they probably would have won more. So depressing, and so talking about himself and that he's to be credited with the economic success of the past 2 years without showing a shred of evidence of that. And, the more successful he is, the more bizarre they're becoming, the more deranged, the more ugly, the more emotional, the more twisted. I mean, it's completely soulless. They don't have any justification. They go out with these lies. Oh, he wants to, end health care and all the usual lies that they say about Republicans anyway. But that doesn't explain it. It's much more ugly. It's much more personal. And I think that we're going to see a lot more come down the pike. And if they continue this way, they're really going to disgrace themselves ultimately. And I suppose in a sad way, it'll help President Trump, and it'll help maybe reelect Republicans 2 years from now. But it's sad to see. They do have a majority in the House. And they have an opportunity to use it to be a reasonable party, loyal opposition to the administration. Instead, if you listen to people like Stephanie Miller and Malcolm Vance, or whatever this guy, Malcolm Nance, and the MSNBC people, they're going to spend all their time, just as predicted, They're going to try to investigate every move that anyone in the Trump orbit has ever made, including members of his family. They've even attacked his late parents recently in a New York Times article. They're going to, bring up impeachment for what? Because he had a campaign contribution violation, that paying off, a hooker from many years ago. This is something. What is it exactly that they care so much about? They can't articulate it. So I'm just going to conclude by giving my opinion of what they hate so much. What they hate so much about Donald Trump is that he's a capitalist, that he's pro-American, that he wants to put the interests of his own nation first, and that he's doing it in a way that is successful. That's what they hate so much. It's nothing to do. These people who are calling for, Jared Kushner to be hung up in a prison cell, they don't know anything about him. They don't care. It's all about the hatred of the success of an American president who is actually reestablishing American values. That's what it's all about. And that's what they ran on. And they were able to whip that up and win to a certain extent, at least in the House. And maybe that's what this country's come to. I don't know. But either way, if they show their true colors in this regard, it's going to become apparent to more and more Americans what this is about and what this election has meant in terms of the victory of Democrats. It's sad to say that because it's not good for the country, but it looks to me like that's where we're going with it. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching, and of course, you could check out my books on Amazon Books. Just put my name in the server, Chuck Morse, Morse, and you'll see all of my books come up. You're welcome to check them out. Thank you very much.